Among all of the fantastic UFC 291 matchups that we got, I think maybe Aljamain Sterling versus Sean O'Malley becoming official may have been a little bit overlooked a little bit by the massive fights that we did get, because this is still a massive fight. This is a title fight. This is Aljamain Sterling taking on Sean O'Malley, who is a fan favorite for a lot of people. It's interesting though, right? Because Aljamain Sterling just fought very recently, only about a week and a half ago as the time of me recording, and he's already now got a fight booked. He claims to have not known about this fight only a few days ago, but maybe the UFC's tossed him a bit of money and said, hey mate, like, we want you to fight often. And maybe Aljamain Sterling as well, for like in regards to his career, because he is 34, it will be 34 at the time of this fight. He's going to be kind of leaving his prime. He probably wants to get as much done in his career as he possibly can. And I think beating Sean O'Malley is a very favourable matchup for Sterling, so he probably is seeing this as a favourable matchup. And on top of that, a matchup that he's happy to take on 3 months' notice for a title fight. And I think I can understand why. I think Sean O'Malley will be the better striker in the fight, absolutely. But I think when it comes down to it, Aljamain Sterling is going to be so much better at grappling. And I do believe Aljamain Sterling would be able to take down Sean O'Malley as well. Because Aljamain Sterling, although he was so much bigger than Henry Cejudo, he was able to take down Henry Cejudo in that matchup. And that was a close fight. It really could have gone either way. I still kind of am on the Cejudo side of which way the decision should have gone on. I am in the minority, but if you really do kind of look into it, just in my opinion anyway, there is a swing round in there. I think it's round 2 is the swing round. I thought Henry clearly won round 3 and 5, but it is what it is. It's just how you see the fight. It genuinely is kind of what it comes down to. But when you see this fight, I think everybody agrees. I would find it very difficult to find someone that thinks that Aljamain Sterling could outstrike Sean O'Malley in this matchup. And I'm going to go as far to say that I think that Sean O'Malley might be the best striker in the bantamweight division. He's a really good striker. He had a lot of moments against Petr Yan, albeit should he have got the decision? Potentially not, but it was still a close fight where you could make an argument for O'Malley. And I think O'Malley did prove that he probably is one of the best strikers in the division. But the problem is we've seen O'Malley see adversity in his career against lesser strikers than himself. And I would say maybe Pedro Munoz is a pretty good example of that. Because if Pedro Munoz, all he did was kick O'Malley's legs. And he still arguably won the first round against Sean O'Malley. And that is when O'Malley's the most dangerous. And it's also when he's going to be the most dangerous against Aljamain Sterling. I think Sterling just takes down O'Malley and finds a submission though, because he's got a really good style for that. He's got a very tricky striking style. He's got a very tricky grappling style as well. His wrestling's also pretty tricky. Like, he's pretty tricky everywhere, right? He is the backpack man. Like, that's what he does. He'll just take your back and he'll live on the back. Like he did that to Petr Yan. He literally did that to Petr Yan about a year ago now. And what's to say that he won't be able to do that to Sean O'Malley, who's a lesser grappler, who's a lesser wrestler to Petr Yan, but is a better striker. If O'Malley can keep this on the feet, he's going to be dangerous. He's definitely got a chance of knocking out Aljamain Sterling in the first round, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think Aljamain Sterling will take him down, and I think Aljamain Sterling will submit him within 2 rounds. I think that's how it happens. I think Sean O'Malley, if he wants to win this fight, he needs to keep the fight on the feet, and even then, I think he's going to struggle to do that. So the moments that he has the fight on the feet, he's really going to have to make the most of them. I do understand that Sean O'Malley for the last 6 months probably has known that he will be fighting Sterling next, so he's just been working on his takedown defense. He's just been working on his grappling, but I don't know if it's going to be enough, man. I think Sterling's got the perfect fight style to beat Sean O'Malley in this fight, so I am going to pick Sterling by submission. And it seems like, although not everyone does have a pick in yet, only 179 votes, it's pretty unanimous that we are going to be picking Sterling by submission. I think if O'Malley does win, it's definitely by knockout, but I just don't see it. I think O'Malley is the better striker, and he does have a lot of range on Sterling, and just as I say that, he doesn't. He's only got a 72-inch reach, but he will have much longer legs because he is 5'11", and he is big for the weight class. And another thing that kind of can be factored in here is the weight cut. I feel like the weight cut probably might affect Sterling more than O'Malley, because if you do look at Sean O'Malley, he has made 135 on the dot before. You know, he did weigh in at 135.5 against Yan, but he weighed in at 135 on the dot against Munoz. So we do know that he can make that 135 on the dot. He doesn't need that little pound sort of leeway. to kind of make up for it. And Sterling, we know that Sterling's got a tough weight cut because he is big for 135 pounds, and he didn't struggle to make the weight. He did look a little bit dead on the scales, but he looked fine. And he's now going to have to make the weight cut again, you know, and he's going to have to go back into camp again. He would have just had a really hard camp against Henry Cejudo, because that probably was the biggest fight of Aljamain Sterling's career. And now you can maybe argue that this is going to be the biggest fight of Aljamain Sterling's career. It's going to be interesting, though, because I feel like the build-up is going to be interesting. I think Sean O'Malley's going to get cheered. I think that Aljamain Sterling's probably going to get booed. And on top of that as well, Sean O'Malley's not that good on being on the mic, and Sterling kind of is. Like, Sterling and Cejudo were exchanging a lot of jabs in the press conference. It was good fun, but I really think that Sean O'Malley's not good on the mic. Like, Piotr Jan is like a second or a third language. Absolutely roasted Sean O'Malley. Like, O'Malley he doesn't have the personality on the mic, like, when it comes down to trash talking, but he does kind of have everything else when it comes to his personality, and that's why people like him. But aside from that, we do have a couple of big fights. I don't think I will talk about Zhang Weili versus Amanda Lemos in a separate video. I might actually, because I might talk about the possibility of that, and of Zhang Weili winning and then headlining in China for the Road to UFC card. So I might talk about that in a separate video, but I do have Weili Zhang, and I think I've got Mario Batista to beat Cody Garbrandt as well. I think everyone else does as well. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments for this matchup. I think a lot of people will have Sterling in the first 2 rounds, and if you've made it this far in the video, please do like if you haven't already. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and please leave a comment if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.